Have you ever heard the saying, "The Simpsons predicted it"? At this point, it almost feels like common knowledge. Over the past 3 decades, this animated sitcom has earned a reputation that no other show in television history can match. Time and time again, moments that first appeared as simple jokes or over-the-top gags somehow mirrored reality years later. It's not just one or two coincidences. The list of accurate predictions is so long that many fans have started to believe the writers must have a crystal ball. Today, we're diving into some of the strangest, eeriest, and most unbelievable Simpsons predictions that actually came true and left audiences stunned. Let's start with technology. Back in the 90s, the idea of speaking to someone face-to-face through a screen on your wrist seemed like pure science fiction. Yet in one episode, a character casually uses a watch to make a phone call. Decades later, smartwatches became part of everyday life. What was once a joke is now a device millions of people wear daily. And it didn't stop there. In another futuristic scene, video calling is shown as the standard way people communicate. Remember, this was long before Zoom, Skype, or FaceTime existed. Today, it's almost impossible to imagine our lives without video calls, especially after the pandemic made them a global necessity. Architecture wasn't safe from their foresight either. When the show briefly depicted London's skyline, there was a massive glass tower that bore an uncanny resemblance to a building that wouldn't exist for nearly 2 decades. Years later, that skyscraper was built and it looks nearly identical to what the animators had drawn long before construction began. But it's not all about technology and buildings. Some predictions hit much closer to home. In one episode, a character is handed a children's book about a dangerous virus, with the name of that illness written on the cover. At the time, the reference seemed random, but years later, that same virus became the center of one of the deadliest outbreaks in modern history. Fans went back, rewatched the episode, and couldn't believe what they saw. Sports fans also got their fair share of jaw-dropping predictions. In one storyline, the outcome of an international tournament was revealed in advance right down to which country would take home the trophy. Not only did that exact team win, but the same episode hinted at corruption scandals within the sport, which later unfolded in real life. That combination of accuracy left people convinced the writers were on to something more than just satire. Entertainment wasn't spared either. One of the most famous examples came from a scene showing a world-famous pop star performing while suspended in the air, gliding above a cheering audience. Years later, during a massive live event watched by millions, the artist performed in almost the exact same way. From the costume to the stunt itself, it looked like life was imitating art, and fans couldn't stop comparing the two moments. Even science got its share of attention in a blink and you'll miss it moment. A complex mathematical equation appears on a chalkboard. Decades later, scientists noted that it was eerily close to a formula that described one of the most important discoveries in physics. How could a comedy show aimed at laughs come so close to describing the secrets of the universe? The show also took aim at the everyday frustrations of life and somehow managed to predict real glitches that would later frustrate millions of people. In one episode, a character tries to cast a simple vote, only to have the machine change it to something else entirely. Years later, reports of malfunctioning voting machines popped up in the real world, echoing the exact gag that once seemed too ridiculous to be true. And then there's the chilling case of a performance gone wrong. The series once portrayed two magicians whose act with a wild animal ends in disaster. Years later, almost the same incident happened in front of a live audience, making the cartoon moment look less like fiction and more like a grim foreshadowing. Even in the world of big business, their guesses somehow aligned with reality. An old episode casually joked that one of the largest entertainment companies in the world would eventually buy out a legendary film studio. At the time, the idea sounded absurd, but decades later, that exact merger happened, changing the entertainment industry forever. The sheer variety of predictions spanning science, sports, technology, business, health, and entertainment makes it almost impossible to brush them all off as coincidences. One or two lucky guesses, maybe, but a dozen, 24, or more? That's what makes fans uneasy and fascinated at the same time. So what does this all mean? Are the writers just incredibly observant, picking up on trends and exaggerating them until they come true? Or is there something else at play, something we can't quite explain? What we know for certain is that The Simpsons has given us countless hours of comedy, satire, and social commentary. But perhaps its greatest legacy will be the mysterious way it continues to blur the line between fiction and reality. One thing is for sure, the next time you watch an episode, pay attention. Because if history has taught us anything, it's that the most outrageous gag today could very well be tomorrow's headline.